excited to be back here. And before we get started, I'm just going to have myself a Diet Coke because this hotel is in slim supply.
And I'll do some smart water.
Cheers. Let's get the party started.
Coca-Cola.
So first, I would love to just recognize that Deena is also a recipient of the Restaurant Technology Innovator Award announced yesterday here at MURTEC. So congratulations, Deena.
Thank you.
And in that, I mean, I know he gave a great introduction about your career with Red Robin, but it's been 23 years of a journey at Red Robin. So if you could just give us a little bit of a recap of that journey of where you started and where you are now.
Yeah. And first of all, I was telling Angela this. They asked me to do a fireside chat. I thought it was only 20 minutes. I thought it was going to be like in the corner of the hotel podcast style. I did not think this was going to be on stage. So give me some grace. But I'm happy to be here. But yes, I've been with Red Robin for almost 2 decades. And when those words come out of my mouth, I can't believe it. You never think your college job is going to be the job that you stick with. But, you know, of course, I started when I was 12 years old. So, but yeah, one thing, I was with a company when we were private. We had 50 locations at the time, and now we're public, and we have more than 500 locations with our franchisees included. And one thing just kept leading to the next thing. And, you know, one day, about 14 years ago, the CEO at the time, his name was Steve Carley, he sat me down and asked, well, he didn't ask, he told me I was going into technology. And at the time, I was wearing a lot of different hats. I was in operations, HR, communications. My degree is in psychology. So it was one of those things, and I shared this with Angela. I was like, you're talking to me? Like, you want me to go into tech? It made no sense. But he said, we need a leader in there. But I made a decision at the time. If I was going to go into technology, I was going to double down. And I fell in love, and here I am today.
And we are glad that you did. We're glad that you're with us today. So, you know, in that going from private to public, did you face any challenges that you can recall? Because that's a pretty big shift to undergo throughout your career, to stay with the brand through that transition.
Yeah, whenever you see a company go from 50 locations that's private to 500 locations and it's public, you know, nothing we probably don't know, but when you're growing that fast, you can lose culture, you can lose your values. And look, Red Robin's a public company. Our story's out there. You can read all about it. We are in the middle of our comeback, and results are looking good. And I promise you, we're coming after you, Chili's. And
watch your back.
Thank you. So, you know, if I could rewind time, I would be more protective of our culture and maybe not chase cost-cutting initiatives so aggressively. And, you know, you look at these rocket ships brands right now, and I'll name a few: Dutch Bros, First Watch, 7 Brews, and I just kind of want to whisper in their, and maybe there's someone in the audience, but I want to whisper in their ear, you know, don't lose your magic in your growth right now.
Yeah.
Keep what makes you special. So yeah, I think that's the risk when you grow too fast.
Right. And, you know, you, through the 23 years, you know, you started at one place, you are now kind of the top of your game in the tech, which you didn't even know you were going to be in tech. So what advice would you give for others who are rising through the ranks in the hospitality industry, in particular in restaurants? Because this is an industry where people do that every day.
Yeah, this might be like cliche leadership advice, but if you're transversing into a new domain, or you're just going higher and higher in your leadership journey, and again, we all probably know this, but the higher you go, it's really, you don't need to be an expert in every domain in your field. there's no possible way that I can keep up as head of technology in data and security and product and POS and payments and engineering and development. And it's just, but our job as leaders is to build a collective team that has that collective expertise. And our focus should be becoming a great leader that's building great teams. And that was my epiphany a few years ago. I can't be in every detail in every aspect of our business, but I trust my team to do it. And then, again, cliche leadership advice, but never, ever stop evolving, being curious, learning. And, you know, I used to say all the time, this is a year ago, like, AI is on the horizon. It's on the horizon. And that horizon came really fast.
Yeah.
The horizon is here. And we all know in this audience, and this is a group that are probably technologists, technology enthusiasts. So everyone's probably a little bit more up to speed on AI than most of the population. But lean into the things that are going to be evolving and creating a new world, and keep learning. So
Yes, I love that, and it's so true. I mean, speaking of like learning all the different, you know, types of functions under you, it's like you could just spend your whole life trying to figure out the diversity of AI applications and what's happening, and then it would change in a minute. So you can't ever really be on top of it. And you have been, I don't know if you were named, is it the AI chair that you've taken on the role of AI chair? What exactly does that mean to a brand like Red Robin? And is that, I haven't really heard AI chair as sort of a secondary title, if you will.
Yeah.
So tell us what it means for you, what you're in charge of when it comes to that, and maybe some of the wins you've had, the early wins.
Yeah, I think you're starting to see these roles, chief AI officer, you know, these vice president of AI, and we don't have that, but we have a committee, a steering team in our organization that is made up of a group of collective people who are going to help scale AI in our business. My job in that is AI chair. Now, we are really intentional with saying that AI is actually not a technology initiative. We know that technology is going to power AI, but the way that we're approaching it for adoption is that this is a company-driven initiative. You need buy-in across the business, starting from the top. So as an AI chair, I'm just responsible of herding all the cats and getting things organized and, you know, developing a team of AI champions that can go and get everyone up to speed on AI.
Well, it's nice that you're doing that in addition to your role as leading tech, because you can see where the connections are.
Yeah.
You can see where it plugs in. You can see how it plugs in. You can see if it's going to integrate well. And you can take those risks and do those pilots because you know the tech stack so well already.
Yeah.
That's kind of an advantage.
Yeah, and again, even though we say it's not a technology-driven initiative, it makes a lot of sense that a technologist is probably driving that forward, because we're in it every day. We're listening to the podcasts, we're reading the blogs, we're probably the most knowledgeable. But again, you got to bring people along with you.
Yeah. So the big announcement from you, and I don't even know when exactly it was announced, but you have a partnership with OpenAI. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit about how that came to be and what it means for you.
Yeah, so in the fall of last year, Red Robin developed a partnership with OpenAI. Again, I know there's a lot of different people in the audiences who may have their preference. So Anthropic, Gemini, and Claude is Gemini, or I'm sorry, Claude is Anthropic, Grok, ChatGPT. I mean, pick your AI of choice right now. But we decided with OpenAI, even though we're a Microsoft shop, we were debating, do we go with Copilot? Do we go to ChatGPT? And just at the time, ChatGPT is a little bit more ahead of the game. And I think if you use it, you can all agree. And Microsoft is great. I want to give them a plug. But we just picked up the phone and made a phone call. And they were willing to partner with us. Now, again, if you're not a $10 million client, and we are not a $10 million client with OpenAI, they don't hold your hand as much through the process. So a lot of that ownership is on you. But they do help. They get you set up. They're quick to answer your questions. and it has been incredible. We deployed it again last fall around October, and over the last 90 days, we've been focused on upskilling our team, adoption, change management. And if there's any advice that I can give in this space is don't skip that part. Everyone wants to get a tool and then turn on agentic. And what we realized through that process is that, and I was really naive because I was using ChatGPT at the end of 2024. I thought everybody had general knowledge around AI. And that wasn't the case. And so slow down and really make sure that you're focused on adoption, change management, training. You know, I was really surprised when we were going across the business deploying this tool, again, throughout the whole organization, that what I would consider a highly advanced team member needed help with basic prompt engineering. So don't take that for granted. Before you jump into the use cases, get your people up to speed.
Yeah. And hopefully when things do migrate, and as they are already, into those new channels for discovery, ordering, and transacting, that OpenAI partnership will come into handy when you're trying to, like, you know, get your brand at the top of that list with those searches. When you think about how you've sort of maximized your partnership there, is that around efficiencies around labor and cost of goods? Is that because of the OpenAI partnership? Or is that a different AI where you had those efficiencies?
Yeah, you got to be really careful. And look, we're at MURTEC, so when you guys go in the exhibit hall, you're going to be pulled in all different directions. Everyone tugging on your sleeves with an AI tool.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah.
So every conference that we go to this year, it's pretty overwhelming. We have decided to stay very focused on OpenAI through all of our use cases. And so I would say from a Red Robin standpoint, and some of you may be more advanced in where we're at, we do think we're a little bit ahead of the game. But what we're doing right now, because we've been 90 days, 3 to 4 months in adoption, now we're ready to figure out what are all the use cases out there. We want to dream big, the art of the possible. If you were to ask someone in the 1800s, how can you improve transportation? They were going to say more horses and bigger wagons, right? We want to think bigger than that. Also, we can't boil the ocean. And I'm sure a lot of us face those same issues with there's limited budget, there's limited resources, it's a little overwhelming. But right now we are in that phase of crawl, walk, run.
Yeah.
And if I was to say where we're at in that journey, we just got done with crawling. We're starting to stand on the table, holding the ledge, and like taking our first few steps. But we are working with our AI champions, our AI council. We're getting everyone into a room. We're doing an AI summit. And we're basically going to say, give us all the use cases. Dream big. It's going to be 500 to 1,000 ideas. Again, we can't do everything. We can't boil the ocean. But we do need to narrow it down to 3 to 5 that can really move the needle in our business. And that's probably around labor, cost of goods. That's the center of the P&L. I mean, if you're a restaurant company, that's where most of your money is going. And then probably most importantly is the guest experience. So we are in that process of figuring out what are we going to tackle, get organized with it. We also want to consider the small to medium use cases. And I keep shouting this in the rooftops with my executive team and my CEO of the world is agentic. We will have an agentic workforce. So we need to lean into autonomous, agentic. You will keep, my executive team is so sick of me saying this. And that's not necessarily meaning to replace people or professional extinction. That is, we want AI to do the grunt work. We want to take hands off of keyboards. We want our employees to be more creative and more strategic and spend more time with guests and bigger ideas around how we drive traffic and drive sales. And so now that we have a lot of ideas, we just have to distill it down because you can get vertigo a little bit.
Yeah.
What is it that I should work on? So I have no idea if I answered that question or
You
not.
did. You did. I mean, it's interesting that you're going to have the AI summit and come up with all the ideas. Like, it would be interesting. Like, it's almost like a hackathon, or something to try to develop. Like, what is the next big idea, that big use case?
Yeah.
Right. And when we think about use cases, we obviously have to touch on governance. So, what is it that you're leaning into, and how are you safeguarding yourself as
Yeah.
you grow and as you experiment and roll it out across the organization?
Yeah, so as head of technology, I have one foot on the business side, and I have one foot on the boring side, which is security, compliance, governance, data protection. And look, guys, I mean, we all know this. This is a little bit foreign territory. So we got to be very careful. We have to put protocols in place. And I want to be careful with this because the business hat that I wear on the business side is I want our team members to run to the edge of AI. I will most likely have to pull you back. I will most likely have to slap your hand when you do something stupid. But we have a philosophy with our executive team is protecting this vision, which is I'd rather have to pull you back than put a lot of red tape, a lot of blockers. We don't want to be roadblocks. We want you to go deep. We want you to get creative. We want you to try new things and fail. But yeah, every single week we have logging in the back, and something will pop up of what is that person doing over there? Like,
Yeah.
plug into an unsecured environment. So there is a little.
It's a little
bit of
scary.
that.
A lot scary, actually.
It is, and it can be a dangerous place. And there's an aspect of this that we just don't know what we don't know.
Yeah.
And if you thought hackers were really good before, they have AI too. So they're even better. So
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, it's the AI hackers, and then you're going to have to use the AI cybersecurity to fight it, right? And to get ahead of it. So when we think about, what you said before about you're not like replacing, you really want it to augment and fit into your culture and have your people be the hospitality professionals that they are with your guests. How do you balance that? I mean, what do you have a balance that you'd like to share with everybody here? Just a personal balance that you think about when you think about the technology versus the human touch in your restaurants?
Yeah. One of my mottos is like the hospitality is fundamentally a human experience. Like the robots overlords are not going to come in and take over everything. And that's
Not yet.
that's the differentiator in hospitality. And not yet. Terminator, The Matrix, yeah, all these movies. The differentiator is human connection. And that's going to always be our advantage in the hospitality world. If you guys remember when Amazon or streaming services came online, everyone was like, malls are dead, no one's going to go shopping. And that's not true. I live in Denver, Colorado, and the 3 malls I go to, you can still barely get a parking spot on a Saturday. Because I think people still want reality. They want to touch the thing. So, and then same thing with movies. When streaming services came on, Hulu, Netflix, HBO, and
It's dizzying too.
yeah, and everyone's going to stop going to movies. No, they're not. They're still. So from a hospitality standpoint, people still need food. They still need to eat. They're still going to come to our restaurants. And I also say this a lot, that AI cannot love, it cannot hug, it cannot look a guest in the eye and identify that they've been crying. And maybe we would adjust differently on how we serve that guest that day. There's a lot of nuance and idiosyncrasies in human emotion and being a human in general, right? Life is hard. And so AI is still going to be the bot, and it's going to be somewhat transactional, although you still see them get more human-like.
Yeah, the sentiment analysis is real. And,
Yeah.
the sentiment analysis, it's kind of growing.
Yeah.
And that's really interesting, and how good it's going to get.
Yeah.
Right. How human-like can it get?
Well, I say that a lot. We've never seen anything like this. it's unprecedented, the leaps that this technology is making. I'm a Chat GPT. My company is a Chat GPT. They just rolled out last Thursday 5.4. So you see a lot of these improvements. And I was like, all right, let's see how good it is. And of course, it's massive, the amount, how it keeps improving itself. But in addition, the code is writing the next version of the code with very little human development. So just imagine where we will be in 3, 6, 10, 12, 20 years. It will be a different world.
Yeah, it will be. And it is really, really interesting to think about that. I think my last question was that. And I can't see how much time we have left. Can you?
I have no idea. This is so blinding.
But it's not like, I don't know. So somebody cue us if we're running over, if we're because I would love to leave time for questions if we can. But the last question I had was just like about looking in your crystal ball and what do you see? You know, what you said about malls resonates with me because I think, you know, I've been hearing that people are kind of like, nostalgia's coming back, right?
Yeah.
And people want a physical experience now, craving it more than ever. I mean, there's Silicon Valley executives locking themselves in hotel rooms to just unplug, right?
Yeah.
And just get away and reset. So I would love to understand kind of what you see if you had a crystal ball and you could predict a year from now, because let's face it, exponentially flying. What do you see in a year for this industry in particular?
Yeah, I think there's an element that we just don't know what we don't know a little bit. I shared with you guys a year ago, I was like, the horizon's over there, and then the horizon became now. And I think about that a lot. I think everyone in this room, I think our generation, we're all at the same starting line, and the gun went off, and we all get to kind of shape it of what that looks like. Again, I don't think that the AI bots, the overlord is going to come in and it's Terminator, but our world will look very different. You know, someone said to me, and I shared this in a different town hall thing, I went to another conference. It was an AI speaker. He was a futurist. He worked at all the big companies, Google, Facebook, Silicon Valley guy. And he said something that really resonated with me, which is, you're not going to have time to catch up. So if you think you do, if you're like, I'll just get to that later, I'll tinker with that thing next time. Anytime you think about going to Google, go to your preferred chat, or sorry, ChatGPT or Gemini or Grok or Anthropic. Try to stay ahead of the curve because we're going to be the ones that shape the future.
Yeah.
And I think it's too early to tell.
Yeah, I mean, any wild prediction could be wildly off just because things are moving so quickly.
Yeah, and again, everyone's like, okay, Amazon here, no one's going to go shopping.
Yeah.
Streaming is here, no one's going to go to the movie. So I don't think it's going to, now it is not a trend. It's not, AI is not a trend. AI is not hype. It's not a bubble. This is revolutionary technology. And I used to hate when people use the word revolutionary because we've diluted the word. But think of steam engine, light bulb, the iPhone that came out in 2007. I mean, these things changed our society. They changed our world. AI is going to change our world. But if all the technologies that I just mentioned, the steam engine, the light bulb, the iPhone, all change for the good, right? So I don't think all the jobs are going to get replaced. I don't think it's
the predictions are wild. You see the predictions of like the great things it can do, cure diseases, like we won't have hunger, like all of these great sort of philanthropic world endeavors. So that's the exciting part of it, right? And I think it has a lot of good for the restaurant too. If we just have to, like you said, we have to just play it right and make sure that we're staying on top of our brand and keeping our culture strong. I love that analysis. I would love to open it up for questions if we have time.
You can raise your hand if you have a question.
I don't know if she's walking.
Yeah, I see her.
Oh, okay.
I see her.
Okay.
There's one coming.
It's hard to tell.
Just to get
I
things
know, I
going
can't see.
today. It's me, Tammy Billings. Hi, guys.
Hi, Tammy.
what was the hardest part of change management? What's the thing that people are most resistant to?
So what we ran into is, I think, a little bit of that job security of I'm doing this manual process, and if they come in and they automate it, then I don't have my job, and therefore I don't want to interact with it, I don't want to touch it. And look, in ChatGPT, I have analytics behind the scenes. I can see who's using it, and I can see who's not. And it's very apparent that for the people who have maybe more manual, hands-on keyboard, I call it grunt work, it was harder to get them across the bump. And again, the other thing that I noticed and I was just so surprised with is the general knowledge. I'm repeating this now, but I was using ChatGPT a year ago. So I just had this, I thought everybody was. And people, and it's intuitive, right? Whatever AI of your choice, whatever you're using, it's pretty simple. But that was not the case. We found people who really struggled to how to prompt, and look, any AI you're using, for at least for us with ChatGPT, this technology is shedding its own skin every 7 minutes. So you see new features, you see new things come out, and for a non-technologist, it can be kind of confusing. Some people just don't know what agentic means. And what we're trying to provide a lot of encouragement around is we want your hands-off keyboard to do bigger things, solve bigger problems, be more creative, get more strategic. And so we had to really get people over that bump of don't be scared. We're not coming after your job. We want your brain to work in a different way. And so again, if you're in the process in your own journey of deploying AI in your enterprise, do not skip change management and adoption. And again, I had to fiend off my executive team, my CEO, who I report to, and he just wanted to get to the business case. He just wanted to get to, I want the thing to produce the result.
Yeah.
And I said, we can't skip this part. And again, if you have to get everyone to a place where everybody is scaling AI, not just technology, not just the CEO. But let me come back to the last point that I'll make to this is you have to have executive buy-in and sponsorship from the very top. We're very lucky. My CEO, Dave Pace, he is the champion. He is the one at every town hall saying how important this is. This isn't our vision. This isn't our goals. And so it's a little bit easier when we're going through that change management, that if it's important to the CEO, it better be important to you. And also we're again, going back to the Silicon Valley guy that said, you won't have time to catch up. If you don't engage now, you should be concerned about professional extinction 5 years from now.
Right, yeah. And I like what you said about, like, you could see the data on the back end of what people are doing with it in the organization and who's using it most often, who's not. It would be interesting to see if you could find problems to solve based on those queries, right? As you go through the prompts and like you can sort of, it's a gold mine, right?
Yeah,
of just what your organization is doing.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Angela, we have a couple over here. Oh, you got one? Go ahead. One over here.
Can't see. Okay, I see. Catherine.
Hi, Chad McKay with Fire and Vine Hospitality. I was curious, just because of this whole forefront on AI and searches and prompting, how are you guys dealing with that, or give us some hints on the litigation side? Because the plaintiff attorneys and class action are coming just as quickly at us as well. What have you done for governance of retention and some of those areas where litigation is involved?
Yeah, and again, this kind of goes back to my point about I have one foot on the compliance and governance side, and I have one foot in the business side. And we want everyone to explore the edges of how far they can go. But we've also seen that people are going a little too far, and I'm going to pull them back. But it's all in, also, please don't get started unless you have a very clear AI policy that everyone understands. They read every single line in it, they sign a document, and there's oversight on our part of what people are doing. Now, I can't see what everyone's chatting. We have some logging that will throw up concerns around, I want to make a bomb or something like that. But it's real, and again, because this is so new, it's kind of like, and I said this to you already, it's kind of like laying the train track down as the train is coming. So we are seeing, from a legality standpoint, what our future concerns could be. Right now, we're just depending on our policy, making sure people signed it, make sure people understand. And that's why I keep reiterating, please don't skip the part where you have to get everyone trained, upskilled, adopted, and that's going to be a continuous upskill because this technology is going to just get better and better and better. But that is a very, very real situation, and I'm sure we'll run into a big problem here soon, and we'll have to manage it. But I'd rather have people run to the edges than have to be too concerned with governance, compliance, and what we can do and what we can't do, and yeah.
Yeah, Chad, I think for you, like you said on this stage, I don't know how many years ago it was, talking about standardizing your data, customer data, I think it was, that you went through that whole standardization of data so that you're probably in a better position because the data has to be right for it to work well, right?
Yeah, and ChatGPT also just rolled out, this is getting technical, RBAC, and so the permissions, we don't give everyone access to everything, right? If you're an individual contributor, you don't get to see the big data, so it's all role-based, and so we can really contain and protect what they can see, what they can't see, and
That's a good point.
these tools have a lot of security built into them that you can enable as well. Now, again, it doesn't mean, or every single week I'm pulling someone back and saying, don't do that. So
Yeah, it's interesting.
We have another one over here.
Thanks so much for the great fireside chat. I think it's obviously super relevant to what we're all facing right now in the age. I guess my question takes the shape a little bit of your change management approach, and specifically, many of us now have training for phishing attempts, right? And helping folks understand the dangers of phishing. And if an executive is asking you to buy, Apple gift cards, it's highly unlikely that, he would need to, right? So similarly, during your change management process, could you give us a tip on combating confirmation bias?
yeah, and we're running into that too, where if we think we're getting good at being better at business, hackers are getting good at hacking, and our phishing report came back, and it was not as good as it used to be because these phishing activities are just so much more advanced.
Yeah, sophisticated for sure.
Yeah, definitely more sophisticated. And so we have accelerated and required more security training through this process, because the phishing report didn't come back so good, but we know that AI is just making it better, so we have to stay ahead of it. In terms of confirmation bias, I don't know if I totally understand that piece of the question.
Basically, the AI trying to keep you in the platform, that's part of the right design.
Yeah.
More time, and it's responding back in ways that say, oh, yes, you're so right, the way I answered that question is bad.
Got it.
How do we coach people away from that and understanding that it is just a tool? It's not another human sitting next to you in this microphone.
Yeah.
Flattery will not get you everywhere, ChatGPT.
Yeah, definitely. And well, if you see some of these releases with the new versions, and I spend probably half a day analyzing all the different versions with, again, Grok, Anthropic, ChatGPT, and all of them are getting better at confirmation bias. So whatever you want to hear, it's going to tell you, it's going to validate for you. If you're a Democrat or a Republican, it's going to kind of do the thing that social media does and give you that algorithm. They have pulled back on that for any of these AI tools to be more objective, which is great. And I've actually seen that in real time, especially with 5.4 that just released. It's not going to tell you everything you want to hear anymore.
Yeah.
And again, I'll just double down. We have focused so much on the training piece of watch out for confirmation bias. It might give you an answer that you like, but try to ask it more objectively so you're not looking for the answer that you want to hear.
And tell it to give you the answer that you might not want to hear, right?
Yeah,
You can build it into the prompt too, but it's not going to catch everything.
Yeah, that's the magic of prompting. And everyone, I always, my big thing at Red Robin is don't be a lazy prompter.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, oh, prompting is easy. You just type a sentence like Google, and that is not it. You have to be specific. You have to ask for an objective answer. Be as detailed as you possibly can. The power is in the prompt.
Yep.
That's my quote.
Love it.
We have another one over here.
Okay, got one here. Hi there. Thanks for the great conversation today. My question is really around upskilling workforce. As we think about how manual the restaurant industry is now, and if AI is going to replace a lot of those manual functions, what do we need to do from a training standpoint for our businesses to prepare our employees to be in that world so that we're upskilling our teams to get there?
Yeah, and so we're doing a few things. We do AI office hours, so twice a month we encourage people to come to these office hours, and our turnout is incredible. I mean, we'll have more than 100 people and sometimes OpenAI will come to our office hours, and they'll do the latest and greatest training. We also do an AI newsletter, so every other week we have the latest and greatest news coming out, new features, things like that, tips and tricks. We've all heard of AI slop, right?
Yeah.
Some people just type in a prompt, get an answer, they'll copy and paste it in an email and just send it off, and we're like, don't do that, that's lazy. And then last but not least on the training, especially with the roles that we want to automate or we want to provide more agentic solutions, we are just, it's almost a side-by-side. It's hands-on training, sitting with that individual. We just did this with someone in accounting of, here's what the agentic system is going to do, and here's how you can now augment the agentic system and how that agentic system is going to augment you. So it's hands-on. Sometimes it is individualistic, and it takes a lot of time. We have an AI champion group that's made up of a few people from every single department that we train up, that we say, hey, so-and-so in payroll needs help, go help them. But also, all of these, again, all these tools were ChatGPT, OpenAIacademy.com. I always push people there. There's so much information out there. And then our own training. I mean, we've worked with our training department to develop formal training on how to use these tools.
It's a whole strategy. It's
a
like it
whole
takes
strategy.
a village, right? And you're doing it like arm in arm with your people, which is great.
Yep. And you will never stop upskilling, ever, because again, this technology is shedding its skin every 7 minutes. It's hard to keep up with. I mean, you guys probably feel that too. I mean, I'm listening to podcasts and blogs, and I'm reading, and I have my own ChatGPT teaching me about ChatGPT and the new features coming out. So, yeah.
And Anthropic just released a whole Claude course. Like you can, advance through it, and it's supposedly really, really good. So
Yeah.
they're also helping to educate, as OpenAI is doing for you individually.
Yeah, I mean, it's your personal assistant. It could be your executive coach. It could be anything you want it to be. It could be you want to learn about World War II, talk to it on your way to work and learn all about it. It can teach you anything, and it could teach you how to use it in conjunction with some of these autonomous and agentic tools. But to whoever, I can't see in the crowd.
No, we
because
can't
it's so
see
bright
anything.
out here. I don't know who asked that, but sometimes it does have to be at the individual level, just side by side with some of the employees that are struggling with it. And that's why I also double down on an AI champion group that's like your steering team that you can go deploy out there to support change management.